you're gonna lose your economy, you're gonna lose your politician status, you're gonna lose your power in your army, and you will lose this war. It's a kind of escalation, and we expected it. We expect those decisions for many months before, and we are kind of ready to meet your new high technology weapon on Ukrainian battlefield. Of course, it's gonna be huge difficulties for our army, for our people, for our security in Russia. If you will send long-range missiles to Ukraine, they gonna use it, and we should protect our cities, our people, and that's kind of escalation, of course. But you will not win this war. You should understand, if you want to divide my country, you want to divide my people, you want to change the regime, you will lose. Zelensky and the Western world are losing right now.
Let me ask you directly about that, because I started today's programme by asking a straightforward seeming question, which is, how does this war end? Nobody that I know of in the West is expecting to march on Moscow or invade Russia or anything like that. But at the same time, because of NATO weapons inside Ukraine, it's very hard for Russia to win militarily either. In other words, does this not just go on and on for years and years to come?
It's not going to be years and years. I hope it will end soon. But you should...
But how? How is my question?
Meet the right decision. You should sit on a round table with us. I mean, the Western world and Russia. Our goal is, you should understand it, you must understand it, is security guarantees for Russian people. Because we want to live by our own way. You shouldn't dictate us how to live. You shouldn't move NATO infrastructure closer and closer to our borders, because it's a huge threat for Russian people, for regular people, ordinary people in Russia, in Moscow or Yakutsk.
But before this war started, there was no real threat from Ukraine to Russia. Ukraine was much, much weaker than Russia. There was no threat of any kind. And I know of nobody that I ever speak to in the West, in different governments, who makes any kind of military threat to Russia. That's regarded as mad here. So the question is, are there any negotiations that you're aware of? Are there any beginnings of peace talks? Are there any intermediaries? Is anything going on at all which would allow Russia and the West and Ukraine to find a way to end this war?
Of course, we just should sit and negotiate each other. I mean, Moscow, Washington, London, other parts of the Western world. Because, I can repeat, the only we need is security guarantees. And it's a huge mistake when you're talking about no threat for Russia before this military operation. It was a huge threat for decades. But
it was a small country without a military to challenge your country. It wasn't a threat in any real sense.
You are an experienced journalist. You should see huge picture. Think big, because we have threats from NATO countries, from the United States, by military system which is moving to our borders by decades, from the era of collapsing the USSR. And every year military infrastructure on our borders, it's a huge threat for ordinary Russian people.
But
it was before the military operation.
Let me return, if I could, just to the issue that's obsessing people in London right now, which is this appeal by President Zelensky for Western jets to be sent to Ukraine. Britain seems to be, in some senses, out ahead of other Western countries. What would your message be to the British Prime Minister about taking this decision?
I have no message for British Prime Minister because I'm under your British sanctions, which is funny. But I can tell you that Russian people are brave people. They are peaceful people. You should know it. You should read our history and no war we lose ever. In our history, and we're gonna fight for our security guarantees. You should know it. We have consolidation in our society right now. We are ready to do everything to get security guarantees from the Western world. But you're gonna lose this war, and you should understand it. You're losing your economy. You have a huge electricity bills. Gonna lose your economy. You're gonna lose your politician status.
Okay.
You're gonna lose your power in your army.
Okay.
And you will lose this war.
Evgeny Popov, Mr. Popov, I don't think there's going to be a meeting of minds here, but thank you very much indeed for talking to me.